So yesterday, Fabrizio Romano reported that Brentford are asking from 50 to 60 million for Ivan Toney. And yes, at the moment he can't play, but he will be back in January after his ban. And I think there's going to be a lot of suitors for him. So here are 5 teams that I think should sign Ivan Toney in 2024. So let's get into it. So at number 5, we have the current reigning champions of Europe in West Ham. And I think a striker is just what they need at the moment because they seem to be building a solid squad. I really like the 2 centre-backs pairing with again and Zuma they got. Of course, Bowen, Ben Rama, like the Alvarez sign. Of course, Ward-Prowse hit the ground running. But I think if you add Toney to that, just that attack, it will be fantastic. And that is a team that could regularly challenge for the top 6 because everything else seems to be going quite well at the moment. However, Antonio is so hit and miss. Danny Ings, I think his career is just dwindling now because of his injuries, and it's just unfortunate because I thought he was going to kick on at West Ham, but the 2 of them between them can't really get, if they get 10-15 goals between them, I'll be impressed. And of course, with Scamacca going to Atalanta, it's kind of been a bit of a waste of money with that one. But if they could get Toney for, 56 million, which West Ham can afford, especially with the Rice money coming in, I think it'd be a great signing, and it'd just help West Ham really push on and challenge for Europe regularly instead of last season with flirting with relegation or so. But go West Ham at number 5. I think it'd be a great signing. So at number 4, might be a bit unrealistic because they've signed so many people, but I'd go Chelsea because Chelsea will not stop until they have that number 9. They've been doing it for the last 20 years, and they've only had Drogba and Diego Costa off the top of my head that really hit the ground running. So if Toney got into that Chelsea team, I think he could really help them score some goals because it's basic as it is. That's their big problem at the moment. They can't score goals. They can create all the chances, but they have no one to finish them. And Nicholas Jackson looks good so far. Of course, they've got Nkunku coming back in probably late December, January or so. But I think if you just threw that money, which they seem to be able to do, just throw it at Toney. He's in London, he's staying there, it'd be nice down there. And I think he could just help that Chelsea team maybe get back where they've been for the last, 2 decades or so, really. But I think with Chelsea, it's obviously going to cost more. If they're asking 50 to 60, it'll probably be 65 to 70 with Chelsea because everyone knows Todd Bowley's just a sucker, really. They can take him for what he's worth. And but I think if they could get it across, someone's going to have a tough word with Nicholas Jackson or Nkunku, but I think Toney will be a good signing for Chelsea. So at number 3, getting a tough one because I've just bought in a big striker, but Man United need a goal scorer because they've struggled with us since, for years now. Since maybe Ibrahimovic, they haven't had that number 9 that just will get you 18, 20 goals off the top of a hat for him. And I think Toney would be really good for United. Of course, with the England kind of nod because it's just unfortunate, but if you're in the Man United team, you probably have a 20-30% more chance of getting in the England team just because of the politics of it. I don't know. But I can see him potentially doing that because obviously they've just bought Højlund, but he's young and he seems injury prone, especially with his back at a young age. It's not really going to improve. But Toney, hit basically in his prime now. I think he'd slot into that United team really well. Fantastic hold-up play, good on the break, good set pieces, and just the real number 9 that Man United really should have gone for 2 or 3 years ago, if we're being honest. Toney hasn't just come out of nowhere. Yes, no one's going to buy him from the Championship, but he's had, 2, 3, 4 good seasons now in the Premier League? It's not like he's just turned up, so United should have done it years ago, and I think they might do it in January. I think they'll at least put a bid in or start negotiating because I can see it happening for United, really. And hopefully it goes well for Toney because I want to see him in the England squad. But guess we'll see. Just a little pause in the video, but I just like to say I appreciate the support so far. If you could leave a like on the video and if you could subscribe to the channel, that'd be really appreciated. I'll keep this content going, but we'll get back to the video now. So at number 2, it's someone who I probably, at the similar-ish level to Brentford at the moment, but I think Aston Villa could be a great place for Toney to go because they're on the up and up at the moment. I think Unai Emery knows exactly what he wants to do with that squad, and you can see it at the moment. They are scoring a lot of goals, that Villa team, and I think Toney could fit into there so well because at the moment they've only really got Ollie Watkins because they've got that Duran who, he looks sharp to be fair, looks big lad, I mean, he scored 2 goals already this season, so maybe when he gets more game time in Europe or so, they might not need another striker. However, I think it just seems like a Villa signing that. Him, Watkins up front maybe, if they're going for a free, him, Diaby, maybe Watkins on the left, got Bailey. I mean, they got so many options, Villa, and if they did that, that is when people start noticing Villa as potentially challenging for the top four, never mind top six, and it could be a proper statement for Emery and Villa if they could do it. Would Toney go to a similar level because that's going to struggle to push him into the England squad? Probably not, because from what you see of Toney, fantastic player, but he looks like he has that arrogance, not in a bad way, but he just wants to be playing at the top level. And I mean, if Villa get Europe again this season, potentially, but I think he'll be after a Champions League club. However, I think it would suit him and help his development really well. And number one, and I think this is the place Toney should go to, especially how they're playing at the moment, it's got to be Tottenham. I think they've struggled with the number 9 since Kane's left now, because they can't seem to figure out who's going to be up top. Is it Richarlison? Is it Son? Is it that Solomon? They've just bought in Brennan Johnson for similar price to what you get for Toney, really. And if we're being deadly honest, Toney would be fantastic in that Spurs team. He'd get 20 goals like he did at Brentford. He's fantastic at his hold-up play, like I said earlier. And with Postecoglou and the way he's putting Spurs about at the moment, it just seems like the ideal place, because Spurs, the tips at the moment is probably into the Champions League. Of course, things happen, and you'll see how the season progresses, injuries, blah, blah, blah. However, even if they get him in January, I think that is Spurs one of the favourites to get top 4, because they've got Son, 15, 20 goals a season. They've got Kulusevski, who 10, 12, a lot of assists, and James Maddison from that midfield. Richarlison, not a big fan, but he's hit and miss, isn't he? And we'll see how Brennan Johnson does. But if you get Toney, that is one of the best attacks in Europe, just depth-wise, isn't it? Because, I mean, you have 4 players who really could get 15 plus a season, which, if they keep their defence going the way it is, I can't see why not Spurs. I just wouldn't see why Spurs wouldn't do it, to be honest. I mean, maybe financial fair play, because they've just dropped 50 million on Brennan Johnson, which is debatable if you want to be honest about it, but 50, 60 million for Ivan Toney, I don't care that he's 27, 28. He's going to be good for another 3, 4, 5 years, and that could really help the post-Kane transition, because it wouldn't be a panic buy. Everyone's seen what he can do, and I think he just slots to that system straight away. Really. But regardless of where I think he should go, it looks like Toney's run at Brentford is coming to an end. Doesn't look like there's much hatred on both parties, maybe. I think it's probably time. I think he probably should have gone a summer ago or so, really. But maybe go to Italy, see him like Inter Milan coming in for him, or maybe Borussia Dortmund or something like that in Germany. You never know. I think he needs to make the case that he should be in the England squad, because, I mean, he's our second best striker at the end of the day. I don't want to hear anything else. It should be Kane and then Toney backing him up and coming on, aerial threat, the set piece threat, just the poacher threat that, could really help England in the Euros if he gets a good run of games. But we'll see how it turns out. You let me know who you think Toney should sign for. I mean, there's a lot. But if you could comment, that'd be great. If you could leave a like, again, fantastic. And like I said before, if you could subscribe, that'd be really appreciated. I'll keep this content going. But cheers.